sports.
We are the Sports. We are Sports Zone.
Tonight from the TED, it's the start of a 4-game Memorial Day weekend series. Julio Teheran, in the top of the Braves rotation, faces off against Ryan Braun and the Milwaukee Brewers. Settle in for Game 1. It's the Brewers and Braves here in Atlanta next. On a beautiful night in Atlanta, once again, it's time for Braves baseball. Let's see if Atlanta can do some chopping as the Milwaukee Brewers come to town. Tonight it's Game 1 of a 4-game set, and the Brewers, as you see, they are struggling mightily. Just 15 wins so far in their first 41 games played. Hi again, friends. Joe Simpson, Chip Carey. Welcome back to the ballpark, partner. I think it's safe to say that things have not gone as planned for the fighting Milwaukee Brewers. They're off to an awful start, 15-26, and already a new manager.
Yeah, they traded away their ace in the offseason, Giovanni Gallardo, and some other guys have not stepped up, and it cost Ron Renicky his job, and replaced by Craig Counsell, who came down out of the front office. There are the numbers for the Brewers, 5th in the National League Central, 12.5 games out, last in average. You see the ugly numbers offensively. And starters ERA, their rotation has not been anywhere near what they thought it would be. And as we mentioned in the pregame show, they've only got 4 guys on their bench. They've got 8 guys in their bullpen. So Craig Counsell's trying to find something that will work for them on the mound.
Another one of those outside-the-box managerial hires. Counsell never managed anywhere in professional baseball before he got the Milwaukee job, and a 3-year contract to boot. So, Game 1 of the series, Julio Teheran pitches for the Braves. He's been very good at home, very average away from Turner Field.
Absolutely. Turner Field's been a real nice place for him. You're seeing some work on the mound here at Turner Field and how good he's been. This is a little road action, but it's for Julio, it's kind of, back to the future. Go back to that fastball, like that pitch he made there to Brandon Phillips that worked so well against the Reds, where he struck out, I think it was 7 guys in 6 innings, shut him out. Since then, it's been a real battle for him. However, his numbers against Milwaukee, very good. He's also got a stream going of 11 consecutive shutout innings pitched against Milwaukee dating back to last year.
Matt Garza pitches for the Brewers. He's been around a while, but has had no luck at all against the Braves.
Yeah, he has not. He's never beaten Atlanta, and he's gotten off to a real rough start. His ERA really catapulted on this start against the Mets. He gave up 10, count them, 10 runs on 10 hits in his last start at Citi Field, and that really did jack up his ERA coming into this start tonight. So he's got a little bit to work on, hoping to bounce back against Atlanta after having an 0-3 record against him and a high ERA, and you see that line down there on the bottom from his last start.
One thing's better than 0-3 from the Braves' perspective and an opposing starter. How about 0-4? Let's see if Atlanta can do that with a little help perhaps from the Braves bullpen. It's been good lately. We'll have more from Andre Aldridge on that when we return to Atlanta in a moment.
outings with the opener of this 4-game set against the Milwaukee Brewers. The Braves won 5 of their 7 meetings against Milwaukee last season. Hello, everyone. I'm Andre Aldridge. Now, the Braves won 2-1 last night, and a big part of that success was the work of the bullpen. It was absolutely stellar. That's been a question mark at points this season, but that wasn't the case last night and hasn't been the point lately. Braves bullpen second in the majors in allowing inherited runs to score, only 13.8%. Now, Jason Grilli picked up his 12th save last night, but he added, it is not all about the closer.
Sometimes guys don't get enough credit. Like Cuniff came in there last night. I got the save, but I always point it back to these guys who are doing it in the middle. Sometimes those hard jobs, and they don't get enough credit, and I know how hard that is. I had to do that once too, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Avi's taking the ball. He's been in like 50% of the games. So, you know, everybody's down there wanting to participate, wanting to come in there and put up zeros. And I think, you know, baseball is the ebb and flow. You know, once we keep in a good groove, it falls in place.
All right, we're almost ready for baseball, folks. Around the corner, we're coming back with Joe and Chip, and we're also coming back with Julio Teheran looking to take care of business against the Brewers. We'll see you in a moment.
Presented by AT UVerse, Delta Airlines, and your local Ford dealer.
Beautiful breezy night in Atlanta. Stiff gale blowing across the ballpark toward the right field bleachers. Might be a fun night for the left-handed batters in Game 1 of the series as the Braves meet the Milwaukee Brewers for the first time here in 2015. Craig Counsell is the new manager. Brewers are 15-26. He is 8-8 since taking over for Ron Renicky on May the 4th. They've got some thunder in their lineup with Carlos Gomez leading off. Ryan Braun's their third place hitter. And Aramis Ramirez has always been a Braves killer, a lifetime .377 batting average against the Atlanta Braves. That's their batting order presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. And the man on the mound is Julio Teheran. He'll try to continue the tough times for the Brew Crew tonight.
His 9th start of the year. He is 3-1 with a .433 ERA. That's his line from his most recent start against them almost a year to the day ago right here at Turner Field. A 6-hit shutout. And look at that, 128 pitches. So he cranked it up. You know what? He hasn't gone beyond 6 innings all year. Not even 6 1/3. Maybe he can stretch it out a little bit tonight against a team he's had a lot of success against. His 4 keys to pitching success tonight. It's kind of in keeping with his whole season. Number 1, whip. That's walks and hits per innings pitched. Last year, great numbers. He was the 6th best in the National League at 1.08. This year, he is 2nd worst in the National League at 1.6. A lot of base runners. And a lot of those base runners are not base runners, they're base trotters. Too many trots. 9 home runs he's allowed already in 8 starts. If you, using the word extrapolate out over a whole season, the last 2 years he's given up 22 homers a year. Right now he's on a pace for 36. He's got to start keeping the ball in the ballpark.
Yeah, when you started showing that sign trots, I thought he might have had too many bratwursts before the game.
Well, it's kind of in keeping with, racehorse.
Yeah, right. Let's hope he's a thoroughbred tonight. Yeah. As you see the Braves defensive lineup, Johnny Gomes gets to start with a right-hander on the mound for Milwaukee. He last started against a righty against the Phillies when Chad Billingsley pitched against the Braves up at Citizens Bank Park. Callaspo back in there at third base. Christian Bethancourt gets the start tonight in Game 1 of the series. Umpiring crew as assigned by Major League Baseball. These fellows had an interesting time of it with the Washington Nationals, didn't they? Most notably Marvin Hudson, who's now at third base tonight. Chris Siegel's got the plate. Marvin Hudson was the man that tossed Bryce Harper and Matt Williams for the Washington Nationals.
They were glad to get out of town.
Yeah.
Come down here where there's more civil people.
So off we go with Carlos Gomez ready to lead things off for Milwaukee. A 2-time All-Star and hitting .287 for the year. And he jumps on the first pitch and hammers that down the left field line. Look at the wind. Push that back toward Johnny Gomes. There's out number 1. That was headed for the stands, and that brisk breeze pushed it back into fair territory.
18 miles an hour out of the west-northwest, and 74 degrees at game time. So even the umpires have their jackets on this evening with this wind blowing. So yes, to back up what you said a minute ago, Chip, anything hit to right field's got a chance tonight.
Here's the first left-handed batter, Gerardo Parra, the former Arizona Diamondback. He's swinging a hot bat for Milwaukee and takes a quick strike. We've always liked this guy.
Yeah, good outfielder. Real good arm.
Hitting .306 in Brewers colors. And just missed.
It never seemed like he hit for a high average against the Braves when he was with the Diamondbacks, but he always hit a big home run to win a ball game.
Or made a great throw.
Yeah.
One of the best arms in the outfield. He's in left for Milwaukee. Little tapper right side. Teheran got there, but it's a foul ball. Good hustle by Julio to try to steal it out. And the count to Gerardo Parra moves to 1-2.
Just trickle foul before he could get to it. Both guys trying to keep from stepping on each other.
Good job by Bethancourt to go to the mound, give Teheran a chance to catch his breath. And now Julio is ready to go with another 1-2 pitch. And that's upstairs. We've talked a lot already about the poor start Milwaukee has begun the season. Brewers are 15-26, but they've been injury riddled too. This is a club that really hasn't had its best 8 players together much, as Teheran gets Parra to swing and miss. His first strikeout of the night, 2 quick outs.
Good breaking ball here to put him away. Took a little off. Good start for Julio.
And Ryan Braun will be the hitter. Braun with 10 homers, 28 RBIs. And while Ryan is a right-handed batter, we understand, Joe, he's been an opposite field home run hitter this year.
Yeah, only a couple of his homers have been pulled.
So with that 18-mile-an-hour wind, you've got to pitch Ryan Braun very, very carefully. 5 homers, 15 RBIs in his last 14 games. He's giving Bryce Harper a run for his money for the May National League Player of the Month honors.
4 of those have been hit on the on this current road trip. They just got in the wee hours of the morning from Detroit.
5-0 and 2 to Braun. And Teheran struck him out. High gas. Love that. 90 miles an hour, but in a perfect spot. 3 up, 3 down. A good start for Julio Teheran. Matt Garza to work for Milwaukee as we head to the bottom of the first. Julio Teheran with a couple of first inning strikeouts. Braves are at 19 and 20. Here's how Freddie lines them up. The Academy Sports and Outdoors starting lineup. Chase Peterson's done a good job in the leadoff spot. Cameron Maybin's swinging a hot bat, so he moves to the number 2 hole in front of Freddie Freeman. Markakis, Johnny Gomes, Cayaspo, Andrelton Simmons, who hasn't had much luck against Matt Garza, hit 7th, Bethancourt 8th. And there is the Brewers right-hander, Matt Garza.
31 years old, 6'4", 215, out of the same hometown where Bobby Cox grew up, Selma, California. Home starts, .413 ERA. Road starts, very inflated from that New York start his last time out. Again, 3 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 10 runs. Braves are hoping that that continues tonight and then get on him early.
I forgot to ask before the ball game. In this day and age, and as many men as the Brewers have in their bullpen, to see a starting pitcher endure a 10-run inning, that almost never happens anymore.
No.
And that was the fate of Garza against New York. And Peterson skies one towards center, but Gomez should catch it. And he does. Wynn made that a little tricky. And there's out number 1. The defense for Milwaukee has been offensive. 35 errors for the Brewers. That's the highest total of any National League team. That's 22 unearned runs that have scored against them. Aramis Ramirez at third. A couple of kids, Sardinas and Herrera up the middle because of injury, and Centeno's behind the plate because I think their best player, Jonathan Lucroy, has a broken toe.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back, I think, by the time they start their next road trip, and they need him desperately. Gene Segura has a broken pinky finger. He's on the DL, so they miss him at shortstop.
Scooter Gennett, their starting second baseman, he got hurt early in the year and he's been sent out. He's in the minor leagues. So to say nothing's gone right for Milwaukee the first 2 months of the season, I think, is a dramatic understatement. And there's Mr. Segura on the Brewer bench. 1-1 pitch to Maybin. He is up and in for ball 2.
Last 4 games dating back to Miami. This is the 4th different 2-hole hitter. Goslin, Siriaco, Cayaspo, and now Cameron Maybin.
Yeah. And because of that first statistic, you understand why Freddie has been shuffling at the top of the order. 3 balls and a strike for Maybin. And up and away. Garza with a 1-out walk. The other effect of having Maben at the top of the order, if you decide to do some running in front of Freddie Freeman, Cameron can steal a base. He's got 4 of those. Let's see how the Braves play it with the young catcher behind the plate.
Both of these starting pitchers tonight have numbers that are elevated from their norm, and one of them is walks. And for Julio Teheran, an elevation that he's not accustomed to having to deal with.
Maben with a very big lead as Freeman digs in and takes low, ball 1. Freddie hitting .303 for the year, despite a 5 for 29 stretch at the plate. But a big double in the game last night turned into the game-winning run for the Braves in the 6th inning. Out of play to left, even count.
Garza's averaging 4.3 walks per 9. That's the 3rd highest in the National League. And Julio Teheran, believe it or not, after last year having the 16th lowest, 2.08 walks per 9, this year he's up to 3.71. And that's the 9th highest.
And that walk total is not at all like Matt Garza. This guy's usually had great control. Pitch, a strike, throw to second, a strike but late. Maben beat the rap at second, and he does have his 5th stolen base. Good throw by Centeno, but Maben simply beat it.
Not a great jump, but he did outrun it. The throw to the third base side of the bag was the difference. And Cameron able to keep his hand on the base.
So Freddie's behind in the count, but a chance for his 20th RBI. Lifetime 4 for 12 against Matt Garza, and the pitch is low. 2-2. Get a few early runs and get the Brewers thinking it's going to be a long night. Garza wants a new set of signs. Out of play, still 2-2.
Guy's trip to the ballpark already worth it. Got an early souvenir.
Grounded foul at first. This time Freeman will face another 2-2 pitch. Giants beat the Dodgers again today. Bumgarner versus Kershaw for the 3rd time already this year. And a little history in that ball game. Madison Bumgarner hit a home run off Clayton Kershaw. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Freddie. That's down and in, full count.
The Giants shut him out. Garza's got a good fastball. His low 90s, sometimes 93, 94. Just a matter of where he puts it. See if he gives Freddie something to hit here.
Nick Markakis on deck as a 3-2 pitch is slapped to the left side. That's again out of play.
Centeno is a guy that was not hitting a whole lot when he got called up. He's only hitting .077 right now. Supposed to be a good catch and throw guy. They got him on waivers from the New York Mets in the offseason. 5'9", 200-pounder. Little Brian Pena like.
Good at bat continues for Freeman. Tenth pitch of the at bat. and Garza got him with a slow curve. So that's his first strikeout of the game. Maybin's at second, 2 outs for Markakis.
That was a really good pitch. Kept it away from him and threw him off stride. Big out for him.
First at bat for Markakis, who's 6 for 38 against Garza. And that one's right back where it came from into center field. Here comes Maybin around third. There'll be no throw to the plate. A 2-out RBI hit for Nick Markakis gives Atlanta a first inning lead.
That seems to happen a lot. Nick Markakis is a guy who will work the count. He'll drive pitchers crazy, fouling off pitches. But in RBI spots, not necessarily. If he gets a good pitch to hit on the first one, he goes after it. We've seen that time and again.
And he makes such consistent contact. You don't mind the fact that he hasn't hit home runs. He's still very capable of protecting or picking up Freddie Freeman in the 4th spot. So on the first pitch, he's given Julio Teheran a first inning lead. And now Johnny Gomes is the batter. Pair of former Tampa Bay Rays hooking up here. Gomes with 3 homers and 9 knocked in. Ball 1.
Only one at bat in that series against Tampa. Went 1 for 1. Nice pinch hit.
And that's a tough thing for Freddie Gonzalez. I mean, he has said Johnny Gomes is going to play against all the left-handed pitchers the Braves see in starting assignments against the club. Braves haven't seen many. We'll get a couple in Los Angeles. We're going to see Anderson and Kershaw for Los Angeles when we hit the road after this series with Milwaukee. He has had a track record against Matt Garza. 4 hits, including a homer in 8 career at-bats. Inside corner pitch, 2-2. Liner down the left field line. That's again headed for the seats. Ricochet's out. Heavy workload for Garza. That was his 24th pitch, and on a check swing it was called a ball. Markakis runs. The pitch popped back toward us. Braves are 12-5 when they score the first run of the ball game. Milwaukee is 4-20 this year when their opponent scores first. Another 3-2 count. And another pop-up. This one, though, will stay in play. Sardinas at short gives way to Herrera at second, who staggered at the bag. And he made the play to retire the side. Atlanta cashes in a walk and a stolen base and leads by 1 after 1. Game this Sunday, May 24th. A free concert for all in attendance. Limited VIP field passes are available for just $20. Act fast by visiting Braves.com/concerts and reserve your seats today. Good start for the Braves. They cash in a first inning run against Matt Garza. Julio Teheran with a 1-2-3 first will face the middle of the Milwaukee order. She looks hungry. She's a beauty. As Adam Lind leads off, he's the Brewers' first baseman. They got him in a trade with Toronto. Lind hit .321 with 6 homers north of the border. And ball 2
for Marco Estrada. Guy's a high 270s career hitter, and last year led all of Major League Baseball in batting average against right-handed pitching. .354.
There's a strike. It's 3-1. Most starters being right-handed makes you wonder why Toronto wanted to move Adam Lind. Milwaukee happy they did. Fly ball left. Gomes on the run. That thing's going to carry out to the track, and Johnny makes the grab.
Boy, I didn't think that was hit that well.
Lind is out number 1. And here's Aramis Ramirez. Said it a couple of times on Braves Live and in our open. He personifies a Braves killer. Look at those numbers for Aramis Ramirez.
Very, very impressive.
Aramis said earlier this year that 2015 final merry-go-round ride. He's going to retire at the end of the year. And he's got an outside shot to get to 400 career homers. Sharply hit. Callaspo played it off his chest and recovered for out number 2.
Some gold gloves mixed in there too.
Always an excellent defender. I think that'll be a fun discussion to have over the course of the series. Is Aramis Ramirez a Hall of Fame third baseman?
Are you telling me today you were reading off some numbers comparing him to Adrian Beltre, and they're not that different?
They're not. And as you said, as good a defensive player as Ramirez is, that's often overlooked. Here's Elian Herrera, second baseman. Non-roster player acquired from the Dodgers. They called him up April 21st when Scooter Gennett got hurt. One ball, one strike. 5 up, 5 down for Julio. Looking good. He struck out a pair of Brewer hitters. Talking to the Brewer people, once you get past the first 5 batters on their lineup card, a lot of unproven players, offensively speaking. And Herrera might qualify as one of them. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. And Bethancourt applies the tag, and Julio Teheran struck out 3 in his first 2 innings. Alberto Callaspo leads off for Atlanta. The Braves lead by a run. California, the birthplace of Bobby Cox. Well, it's Bobby Cox's birthday today. And his special celebration, our Home Depot tools from the dugout.
Now, we claim him in Oklahoma because he was born in Tulsa.
Okay.
But his family moved to Selma when he was a young boy, and he grew up there. And happy birthday, Bobby. Who knows? Maybe he's here at the ballpark tonight.
If he's not, you know what he's watching. He watches all the games.
Yep.
But he's got a nice cold frosty beverage, maybe smoking a cigar, enjoying a beautiful late spring, early summer evening in Metro Atlanta. So, Skipper, happy birthday. Many, many more. Here's Callaspo to lead off the second. Simmons, then Christian Bethancourt coming up. Ball one to the Braves third baseman. Callaspo, a homer, 8 RBIs, and a .211 mark. 26 pitches for Garza in the opening inning. This guy's an accomplished starter. 2008 American League Championship Series MVP. Made 2 starts against Boston, won them both, and sent the Rays to the World Series. He was the winning pitcher in Game 3 and Game 7. They had James Shields, big game James, they called him. Well, Garza pitched big in the biggest game for Tampa Bay in their history to that point in franchise annals. Lind at first, gets a high hop and takes it to the bag for out number 1. The Milwaukee Brewers got him. Signed as a free agent and pitched great against Atlanta early in the season last year. Remember, the Braves opened up against Milwaukee at Miller Park. Garza had the Braves no hit. Virtually 7 innings of no hit baseball until Chris Johnson hit a home run. It was the only run of the game. The Braves won 1-0.
Yeah, Tehran had him no hit for 6 innings also, didn't he?
You know what? I think you're right.
It's like the first time in the big leagues that had happened since, 1612.
Shortly after the Magna Carta was signed,
yes.
right? As Simmons bats. And takes one high and tight. Remember how remarkably the Braves started the year last year? The incredible pitching in the first 4 or 5 weeks. Every Brave starter that went to the mound was giving up nothing. One was enough to beat Garza at Miller Park in his Brewers debut on a play to the right.
Well, again, these two teams mirrored each other a lot last year because Milwaukee got off to a great start. Nobody in the Central Division was playing worth a squat. The Brewers were just walking off and leaving everybody. Then all of a sudden the Cardinals got Yadier Molina back. Pirates started playing better. And in September, the Brewers took a nosedive, and both the Pirates and the Cardinals made the postseason.
One ball, 2 strikes. And that's taken downstairs. And with that in mind, the Brewers, I'm sure, thought that last September was just a bump in the road. They figured, okay, start the season in good shape, put that behind us, and off we go. Didn't work out that way for Ron Renicky. As Simmons is called out on the outside corner. Garza struck him out, 2 down.
Tell you, 2 good breaking balls, one to Freeman and that slider to Andrelton. Both of them perfectly located.
So I think the real question for Milwaukee going forward is they're 8-8 under Greg Counsell. Took over May 4th. They're 11 games under 500. They're 12.5 games out of first place. They are going to get Lucroy back in a couple of weeks. They are going to get Scooter Gennett back at some point. Gene Segura is going to come back. As Bethancourt bounces to short. Nice pick. And a throw to first. Will the Brewers be sellers And if so, how soon? We'll continue that thought when we head to the third inning with the Braves lead 1-0. A moment ago to Rob Christian Bethancourt.
That was a terrific play on a very in-between hop. Had to catch it behind him actually to give a little extra ground. Bit of a smirk on his face too after making that play.
And he's due third here in the third as Julio Teheran goes to work with the bottom part of the order.
We've had some numbers on Julio throughout the early part of this season on where the damage comes from and what part of the game it comes from. Well, he's entering what has been a danger zone for him. He did strike out Herrera to end the second inning to get him into the 20-pitch zone, but 16 to 30, he's having a hard time. Now that may be a little micro analysis, but we'll see how he does tonight.
Juan Centino is the hitter, making his fourth start behind the plate for the Brewers. Joe mentioned he was acquired off waivers from the Mets. Just 1 for 13 so far at the plate. And a strike. The Brewers also do something unique. They've got their pitcher hitting eighth. And that means Matt Garza is on deck. We'll explain why when Matt comes up for the first time. And out of play foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ryan Braun, Craig Counsell, former teammates. Now Counsell is Braun's manager. And 1-2 is lined towards center, and it tails right to Cameron Maybin.
That was 4 straight 2-seamers. None of them got to 90 miles an hour. And I think Julio shook off the last sign there by Bethancourt, and Bethancourt shook his head no, like, no, I want you to throw it. And it got hit pretty hard.
So here is Garza. He's 1 for 12 at the plate with 6 strikeouts in those 12 at bats. And the rationale is understandable from Craig Counsell's perspective. They really like Carlos Gomez leading off, but he's not a prototypical ping hitting leadoff guy. He's got a lot of power. He was a 20-30 man last year for Milwaukee. And if they're conceding an out for their 8th place hitter, the pitcher, if their 9th place guy can get on, that gives Gomez a chance to maybe hit with a man aboard as their leadoff hitter. Swinging and a miss. Ball and 2 strikes.
Well, there's a two-prong thing there too. I mean, it's not just Gomez, but I remember when the Cardinals did this, they liked Albert Pujols hitting in the first inning, and then basically next time around having 3 guys hit in front of him, which would make him a cleanup hitter.
It may only happen 1 or 2 times a year where he gets a big hit or he hits a grand slam or even that situation comes up. But hey, if you are in a tie in your division, that one game could be the difference maker.
But the way Braun's going right now, you can understand why the thought would be there for him.
Swing and a miss by Garza. And the peg to first in plenty of time for the second out. That's 4 strikeouts for Tehran. And now Sardinas will be the hitter. Joe mentioned last night about a big change Milwaukee made after the season. They traded, or last year, they traded Yovani Gallardo, their de facto #1 starter, to the Texas Rangers. Sardinas was one of the prime players that came back. And we saw him last year late in the season down in Texas during interleague play. You might remember he went 3 for 5 against the Braves in a September game down at well, it used to be the ballpark in Arlington. I can't remember the name of it. The names change so often these days. 0-2 the count.
I'm guessing it's probably an investment company.
Pretty good chance. Pretty good chance. Somebody will send me the answer on Twitter. But y'all know what I mean. You ought to just call it Nolan Ryan Park. 0-2 the count. Fly ball into left center field. Maben says he's got it, and he does. And Tehran's perfect through 3 innings with 4 strikeouts. He'll lead off the Atlanta third with a 1-0 lead. .30 Eastern time. Then at 7 Eastern, it's the return of baseball night in America on Fox as the Cardinals and Royals renew their in-state rivalry. Coverage starts at 3:30 Eastern on your home for baseball every Saturday, Fox and Fox Sports 1. Our pal Brian Anderson and C.J. Nitkowski will be at the mic on Saturday afternoon. Brian's a terrific announcer. You'll really enjoy his work. He's in the booth a couple of doors down with Bill Schroeder covering the game for Fox Sports Wisconsin. There's BA. And Julio Tehran leads off and bounces to short. And Lind with the step on the pillow gets his man for out #1. And we go back to the top of Jace Peterson. Game like the one we saw last night, little things meant a lot. How about the 2 walks Jace Peterson earned last night against Tampa Bay? A 10-pitch walk in the 3rd inning. The first walk given up by Jake Odorizzi in 5 starts.
Right.
And then late in the game in the 7th inning, when the Braves were trying to add an insurance run, another deep count walk in inning number 7. And he's made all the plays defensively, but he's looking more and more comfortable and confident, I think, in the batter's box.
In the games that he's batted leadoff, the team is 5-1.
One ball, one strike. He hit the ball hard, but flied out to center to start the game in the Braves first. And he hits this one in the air towards short. That should be playable for Sardinas, and it is. And Peterson's hit it in the air twice, and he's 0 for 2.
Check out the location of this pitch. This is something, Chip, we've been talking about. That inner half to Jace Peterson. This one's probably a little more than that, but that was a strike. And he's still thinking up the middle, but he's kind of jamming himself a little bit right now in that pitch and not able to stop maybe a sway or a drift forward that's causing him to jam himself, and not being able to stop and get those hands inside the baseball and turn on it. And as long as that keeps happening.
Maben broke his bat. The barrel sails into the seats, and Maben pops out to the second baseman Herrera, who tracked it down in shallow center field. Hope everybody's all right above the Milwaukee on deck circle, as Maben and the Braves are 3 up, 3 down in the home third. Field 1-0 Braves lead it on a first inning RBI hit from Nick Markakis. Carlos Gomez leads off, and that was a terrifying sight in New York May 17th when Noah Syndergaard hit him in the left ear flap. But the very next day, that's what happened.
Well, we've seen it before, and we know how emotional he is, highs and lows. But you talk to people on the Brewers ball club, people in their camp, he's one of those guys that if he's on your team, you love him because of his energy and because of his passion.
And he's a good player. I mean, he's a really good player. Not afraid to lean into one. He got hit by pitches 19 times last year. Hit 23 homers, drove in 73 men out of the leadoff spot, and stole 34 bases.
That's pretty solid.
I mean, if, again, with all due respect to the folks in Milwaukee, if he played in New York or LA or Chicago, people would know a lot more about how talented 29-year-old Carlos Gomez truly is. They got him from the Twins. Trade for J.J. Hardy after the 2009 season. And if Milwaukee is going to consider cleaning house, Carlos Gomez is under contract through next season. He would, I think, bring an awful lot in return for a team that needs a bat. He went around 2-2.
He's never had much luck with Julio. 2 for 11, 7 strikeouts.
And Carlos Gomez, you might recall, was originally a Met. The Twins got him in the Johan Santana trade. 3 balls, 2 strikes, bases empty. Leadoff man Carlos Gomez. And he's lost on ball 4. That's the first base runner of the night for Milwaukee. And Tehran's first walk. Here's Parra.
Talked about the walks for these 2 starting pitchers, and the walk of Maben in the first inning wound up costing Garza a run.
Parra's another good defender, a Gold Glove winner in left field in 2011, right field in 2013, and a finalist in right field last year. And a bouncing ball right side. Peterson can't get it. It's off the edge of his glove. And Gomez all the way around to third base, where the Brewers have runners at the corners and nobody out.
Jay should have had that ball. I'm not sure if he looked up to see where Gomez was, but it went right off the edge of his glove. Yeah, should have had that one.
So we await the scoring, and that will be ruled a hit. And a golden opportunity for Ryan Braun, who struck out his first time up. First and third, nobody out. Braves lead in jeopardy here in the top of the 4th. For all of Ryan Braun's power, you can get him to hit the ball on the ground. He has the team high of 8 double plays this year. One here would be most welcome. Almost hit him inside. 2-0. I mentioned earlier the incredible month Bryce Harper is having. Braun an RBI ahead of Giancarlo Stanton of the Marlins. And 2 are on with nobody out for him here in the 4th. In the air to center and well hit. Maben going back to the warning track, and he's got it. Both runners tag. The throw into second is going to be in time. What a catch and throw by Cameron Maben. Parra's doubled up at second base, and Craig Counsell contemplating a challenge at second base.
What a throw. On the fly, on the bag. Jim Joyce with the call. Parra went by the bag with his left hand, tried to pull his right hand back. If it gone in straight with his left hand, he might have made it.
And now Craig Counsell is going to challenge the call at second base, and I'm sure, Joe, that's what he saw. The glove movement of Simmons trying to get the left hand and then the right hand at the bag. Right there.
Yeah, but see, I don't know that that's going to be enough to overturn it, because the right hand was late coming up.
So Craig Counsell and the Brewers will challenge the out call at second base. If memory serves, they've been very, very good at executing the challenges this year.
Left hand never got the bag. It's just a matter of whether or not the right hand got to the base on the tag of the chest.
Brewers have made 9 challenges this year, and they've won 8 of them. And so with Lind coming up, he'd love to see Wood Counsel, Parra be in scoring position with only 1 out. As it stands now, the bases are empty. The Brewers have tied the game on a Ryan Braun sacrifice fly.
Be a tough one to overturn because you can't see exactly when the right hand got to the base. It was still a terrific throw by Cameron.
Bag went by the base. The left hand went by the base.
Okay, yeah, where's the glove? The hand is on the bag right there, but is the glove touching him? I'm saying it probably is.
And even if it's not, from that angle you can't tell, and the original call was out. So I'm with you. I don't think there's enough evidence to change the out call at second.
I'd like to see these reviews take less time. I think they're spending way too much time. That's a detriment to the pitchers who are on the mound. I know the idea is to get it right, but look at it a couple of 3 times. Whoever is in New York looking at it, use your best judgment and make a call.
Yeah, maybe put a time limit on the challenge. Say you have a minute and a half to make a decision, and if you can't decide in a minute and a half, then it's inconclusive.
We had that 3-minute delay in Miami when Shelby Miller's got a no-hitter, and even Shelby at that point was saying, hey, whatever it was, if he's safe, okay, let's go. You know, make a call and let's get going again.
And up until the last couple of reviews, I think it has not interfered with the pace of the game. It hasn't interrupted the flow that had been established by the men between the white lines. This is an awfully long review. So it appears the verdict is in, and he is out. So the call stands. The Brewers lose their challenge. Parra's out number 2, and the bases are indeed empty for Adam Lind. So during that review, Julio Teheran kept throwing warm-up pitches. Let's see if he can retire Lind now in a tie game at 1. A leadoff walk and a sac fly has tied it up. On a strike. Into left field, a 2-out hit for Lind, who went the other way. Second hit of the inning, second hit of the game for the Brewers, and here is Aramis Ramirez.
I'd have to go back and go pitch by pitch, but it seems like Julio's really gotten away from his fastball this inning. Now that wasn't a bad pitch at all. It was a changeup down and away, and Lind served it into left field, but he got behind in the count to Gomez with breaking balls away. Wound up 3-2, walking him on a fastball where he tried to elevate. Got behind Braun 2-0 on some off-speed stuff, and then Braun hit a fastball. There's another breaking ball. You make the guy a much better fastball hitter when you get to a 2-0 count, and they start thinking, okay, well he's going to have to throw one sooner or later.
And that was the complaint of Roger McDowell and Freddie Gonzalez a few starts ago. Brown's got a good fastball. Hasn't used it. That pitch at 76 miles an hour. Have you seen his velocity top out much past 90 tonight?
No, I haven't.
1 strike for former Pirate, former Cub, and current Brewer, Aramis Ramirez. This was popped up at 89 miles an hour. The wind's going to play with that. Who wants it? Simmons is at the left side of the mound and makes the grab to retire the side. A leadoff walk turns into a game-tying run for the Brewers. Freddie Freeman leads off for Atlanta in the home fourth. Our AT&T Uverse trivia question is not the one I thought it would be. Doggone it. Who are the only 3 players in baseball history to have played for the Milwaukee Braves and the Brewers? Only 3 have played for the Milwaukee Braves and Milwaukee Brewers. Henry Aaron's one of them.
Yes, he is.
As Freddie Freeman leads off, he struck out on a curveball in the bottom of the first inning, and he swings the first pitch and drives it toward left. Long run into the corner by Parra, and he gets there. Nice running catch. Freeman's out on the first pitch, and Garza's retired the last 8 in a row.
Did Don Money ever played for the Braves? He's one of the veterans I can think of that was on the early Brewers teams.
Nick Markakis with a 2-out RBI. His 11th. He takes a strike. Well, the Braves have done a good job with runners in scoring position this year. And Nick Markakis done a good job picking up hits. He's our Georgia Lottery hitting the jackpot.
Since 2007, he's in there with some pretty good company, including his knock tonight, 1448.
Downstairs, 2 balls and a strike. Are you concerned with the fact he hasn't hit a home run yet?
No. I'm trying to think of opportunities where I wished he had hit a home run instead of a single. I can't think of any.
And I agree with you. I mean, my point is, Nick's been asked about that. He said, look, I had neck surgery. My off-season workout conditioning program, I couldn't do it, recovering from the injury. And he's gaining strength as the season goes on. As he takes a walk, and he's aboard for the second time. That's the second walk for Matt Garza, and sends him to the stretch for the first time since the first inning.
And I'll bet as the season goes on and that strength he's talking about returns gradually, I bet he still winds up with 10 homers or more, double digits. Johnny
Gomes popped out to him in the first. Johnny Only 4 for 9 now against Matt Garza. Strike. The Braves aren't a home run hitting team. They're not built that way. That's the remarkable departure from the construction of the 2014 Braves. That has hit 26 home runs this year. The Brewers have hit 42. However, the Braves have done a great job of runners in scoring position. A lot of 2-out hits, tons of singles with runners at second base. As a result, they're hitting .255 as a team, scoring slightly more than 4 runs a game on average. 0-2 pitch. Strike 3 over the outside corner, and Gomes didn't think so. Garza just carved him up. That's 3 strikeouts. 3 excellent pitches.
Well, if that was a strike, those last 2 back-to-back were beautiful. A breaking ball in the outside corner, and then came back with the fastball that was just a perfect pitch at 94 on our PNC Bank Fox tracks.
You hit that spot in the big leagues consistently, you're going to get a big contract.
You're going to do okay.
Here's Callaspo. Made first and flinched. Ball 1. Out of play foul. One more note on the Markakis RBI hit in the first inning. That was the first hit Garza allowed with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position this year.
Wow.
Remember, they were 0 for 18. That was a big hit, a rare hit. And right now the only hit for the Braves. Fly ball straight away center. Gomez is back. He's got it. And that will retire the side. Markakis left stranded in the 4th. We head to the 5th. Good ball game. Tied at 1.
Right stuff, low price, every day.
Beautiful night in Atlanta. Well pitched game. Julio Teheran for the Braves. Matt Garza for Milwaukee. We head to the 5th. Light crowd tonight at the ballpark. Big sports weekend in Atlanta. Memorial Day weekend. A lot of folks have headed out of town, but it's also high school graduation week in much of metro Atlanta. And one of our crew members is not with us tonight. David Poole, our fine A2 audio man up in the booth. He and his wife Kathy are celebrating their son Spencer's graduation from Parkview High School tonight. Spencer graduating with honors, and he's on his way to Georgia State this fall.
Good for him. Congratulations, Spencer, and to the parents as well.
2-2, no strikes for Elian Herrera. And Teheran missed high. And his fastball, Joe, 86, 89 tonight.
Yeah, it's. I don't know what to make of that, except that it maybe I've missed. Maybe I've thought some of those two-seamers that were in the high 80s were actually four-seamers, because I'm used to seeing the four-seamer in the 92, 93 range.
Two balls and a strike for Herrera, who struck out to end the second inning. And again at 88. I'm not one that falls in love with the radar gun, but it is shocking when you are used to seeing Teheran in the 93, 94 range. He's not pitching badly. He's pitching great. He's only allowed 2 hits. But the zip isn't there tonight. And that one back to the mound. Julio's going to flag that one down and flip it to first. 1 down. So Juan Centeno's the hitter. He lined out to center. Centeno's from Puerto Rico. Centeno. Sharply hit to Jace Peterson now. No tilde on Juan's name or Jace's, obviously. So Centeno's the second out. Took him a long time to get to the big leagues. First pro year was 2007 in the Gulf Coast League with the Mets. Played 2 years there. And got to the big leagues for 4 games in 2013. Here's Matt Garza, the pitcher. He can get Garza, then the situation that Greg Counsell was hoping could come about in the 6th inning. And Sardinas, then Gomez, then Parra, then Braun. Inside, ball 2. Greg Counsell 8-8. He is not the interim manager. He is the manager. He took over May 4th. He was given a 3-year contract. And he is Brewers baseball. I think Ryan Braun said it very well. Other than Bob Uecker, who's maybe the heart and soul of the Brewers franchise, Greg Counsell has lived Milwaukee baseball.
And he's a Wisconsin
Yes.
native. Spent some time with the Marlins, scored the winning run in the World Series in '93. It's only 4 years off, '97.
He was a fun guy to watch play. He was a man with maybe the oddest batting stance you'd ever see in the big leagues, but he still used it to hit .255. And very respected man. Wish him well after the Brewers leave town. 3 up, 3 down for Teheran in the 5th. He's due up 3rd in a tie game. one's right back where it came from into center field. Here comes Maven around third. Gives Atlanta a first inning lead. And he's got it. Both runners tag. The throw into second is going to be in time. What a catch and throw by Cameron Maven. Potentially a very big play in this tie game at 1. Braves are up in the bottom of the 5th inning. Simmons, Bethancourt, and Julio Teheran. 74 degrees at first pitch tonight, but an 18-mile-an-hour breeze blowing from left to right has cooled things off. It's a very nice night, and the pitchers have cooled off the bats too. Just 3 combined hits. Julio Teheran through 5 innings with 5 strikeouts.
One of his problems in this good work against Milwaukee in his career, a 1.69 ERA, is lack of run support. Looks like he just needs a couple tonight.
Garza's matching him pitch for pitch. He's thrown 56 of them. And he's ahead of Andrelton Simmons, who's 0 for 8 lifetime against Matt Garza. And nothing in too quickly. Matt Garza was originally a Minnesota Twin. And he'd be the first to tell you that this ball's hit high in the air toward Braun and right. And he's going to have plenty of room to make the play. Garza would be the first to tell you that he was maybe a little immature at times while pitching in Minnesota. Had great stuff, didn't know how to use it, got very frustrated when things didn't go well. He was then shipped off to Tampa Bay and really grew up down in St. Petersburg. Became a really good pitcher. Told you about his excellent work in postseason play in 2008. Then he went to the Cubs. And the Cubs traded Chris Archer, Sam Fuld, Brandon Guyer, and an infielder, Hak-Ju Lee, to acquire Matt Garza. He pitched with the Cubs for a couple of years. And after a 6-1 run in 2013, went to Texas. And Milwaukee snapped him up in free agency. Last year, his first year with the Brewers, went 8-8.
You know, when you were telling me that, my head started resonating. Chris Archer. Oh my. Cubs would like to revisit that one.
Yeah, I've never seen him pitch in person. You've raved about him for a while.
He's right on the cusp of being one of those guys in the American League that you put in the top 5 or 10 if he's not there already. He's really good.
Well, that's why the Rays are so excited about their ball club. When they get Matt Moore back, you've got Chris Archer, you've got Odorizzi, you've got a Tampa Bay team that's battling for first in the AL East. They're tied with the Yankees. And a line drive by Bethancourt toward left. That'll get down for a hit. Christian around first. He's going to try for 2. Here comes the throw to second. It's going to be late. Bethancourt went in standing up.
You'll hear about that when he gets back to the dugout. I don't know if he thought he just had an easy double and didn't know anything about Gerardo Parra hanging breaking ball in, turned on it, took advantage of the mistake. He's running hard right out of the box, but man, when that guy in left field, you have nothing guaranteed. Would have been a no-brainer sliding. Fortunate to keep his foot on the base.
Remember, the Milwaukee Brewers already used challenge and lost. And on that replay, it was clear Bethancourt was in safe at second. So the infield cornermen come in as Julio Teheran bats with 1 out. If he can smoke one past to Ramos Ramirez at third. Plays even with the bag. Little pop in a shallow right. Braun's coming on and is going to get there. Two down. Braun's on his third position in the big leagues. Remember, he came up as a third baseman and couldn't catch cold there. They knew he could hit, moved him to left field, and the rest, they say, is history. Now he's in right. And two are out for Jace Peterson. He's flied out and popped out. And he's our T-Mobile game changer tonight.
Well, you were talking about his efforts leading off, getting on base. Take a look from April 25th to now. A lot of this involves some leadoff work. His average 316 over that stretch. Driven in 14. Fighting an 0 for 8 right now.
So you've pointed out a couple of times the inside part of the plate has been problematic for Peterson. How does he get pitchers out of that spot?
Well, he's going to have to turn on some balls so that they're not as willing or not as confident to go in there. And to do that, he's got to be able to get his hands inside that ball and get the barrel to it. You can't go out around that pitch. And it's not breaking balls, it's the fastball. And typically for any young player, the first thing they want to know is, can you hit the fastball?
Might see one here. 2 balls, no strikes. He did. It was right down the heart of the plate at 93.
You know, we've talked about hitters before who will rip a ball down the line and will wonder how in the world did he not only get the barrel to it but keep it fair. That's that pitch.
Okay. Bethencourt a good lead. And Jace pulled that one foul to the tarp. In the air to left center field. Gomez is going to catch it. And Peterson skies out for a third time. Braves get a double from Bethencourt, but nothing else. We head to the 6th. Saturday when the Braves take on the Brewers. Stay after the 4 o'clock game for a free post-game movie on Braves Vision. It'll be The Sandlot. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully it'll be a fun movie night. Braves take the first 3 games of this 4-game set at home with Milwaukee. Tonight's outcome is still in doubt. We're tied at 1, moving to the 6th inning.
Here's a look at Julio's inning by inning fastball ratio. Now, keep in mind that a lot of these fastballs have been the 2-seamer that have been in the high 80s. But look at the 4th inning. That's the inning he gave up the leadoff walk, gave up some runs, and all of a sudden kind of reverted back to a lot more off-speed pitches, and eventually gave up a run.
So let's see if the lessons learned with the 9-1 and 2 hitters coming up. First pitch is a strike to Sardinas. Oh, and 2. Sardinas, the kind of player Milwaukee really needs to click. I'll explain after the 0-2 pitch, which is cut on and missed. And Tehran has his 6th strikeout of the game. It wasn't so long ago that the Brewers were competing for and winning Central Division titles and going to the playoffs. But in doing so, they really had to empty their farm system to acquire a lot of good players. Most notable pitching: CC Sabathia, Zach Greinke. Well, they had to trade a starter to get that man Sardinas from the Texas Rangers. They don't have much in their farm system right now, as far as pitching is concerned. One ball, no strikes for Gomez, who walked and scored the lone Brewer run on a sac fly. And a count.
Hard to be critical of Julio when he's struck out 6 through 5 in the 3rd innings and only given up 1 run. So it's not meant as a criticism as much as it's a curiosity about where's the velocity, where's the 92, 93. And why did he get away from fastballs, period, in the 4th inning?
Gomez with a Bartolo Colon-esque swing. Lost the helmet and smiles about it.
He won't get cheated.
And now the 2-2 pitch. Line foul.
He was trying so hard in batting practice, he and Braun, to hit one up in the club level. And they came pretty close.
Even
one after
wind,
another.
huh?
Pardon me?
Even with the wind?
Even with the wind. They were hitting them up there in the terrace level, just missing the 2nd deck.
Full count for Gomez. Braun will follow Gerardo Parra, who's on deck. Bases empty, 1 out. Strike came out. That might be his best fastball.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And he struck out Braun with a similar pitch in the 1st inning. He went upstairs, got Ryan Braun to chase one up there. I'd rather see him try to do that to put a guy away than to try to trick him.
And I don't know. Could the radar gun be off a mile or 2?
I don't know.
Don't know. Don't
I never know about that.
That was a perfect pitch at a perfect time. 2 outs for Parra. He is struck out and singled. And he was the man doubled up on the fly ball by Braun to center in the 4th inning. Turned into a big double play. The reason that was a big play was after review, Parra was called out, or was called out of the play, but that call stood. Adam Lind followed with a single. Had he been safe, Milwaukee might have the lead. Ball, 1 strike.
It looked like Bethancourt there wanted him to bounce that pitch. He was pointing down like at the plate, and that got away from him, came out of his hand pretty high, missed altogether.
Ara showed bunt, took a strike. Now he and Chris Siegel talk about that.
Like a good pitch. He may have been asking, are you calling it on the pitch, or do you think I bunted at it? Odd time to think about bunting, and he got a perfect pitch to hit.
Not that one. Tehran struck out the side, and he struck out the last 4 Brewers. He has 8 in the game. 2, 3, and 4 coming up.
Exciting play in the 4th inning when Cameron Maybin threw out Para from almost Asheville trying to get to second base. But he says his defense is a given. It's his offensive game that he really feels good about right now, too, though, guys. Cameron's work at the plate, well, appears to be a much more disciplined hitter. And he told me he absolutely loves being coached by Kevin Seitzer. Said Seitzer has tapped into his abilities unlike no one ever has. And Cameron added, I'm just scratching the surface of where I think I can be offensively, Chip.
Well, thank you, Andre. I think you're right. He's having a good run of it in the month of May. He's knocked in 10 runs this month. 15 RBIs in total, and he scored the lone Braves run after walking in the opening inning for the Braves.
It's funny how you can hear things repeatedly that may mean the same thing from a coach, but it just, there's one voice that somehow gets through to you like no other, and that's great for Cameron at this point in his career.
Well, Matt Garza is not pitching like a man who gave up 10 runs in 1 inning in his last start against the Mets in this ball game. He has looked very, very good. One point he retired 8 in a row. And 11 of 12 Braves hitters. He's only allowed 2 hits, 1 to Markakis, 1 to Bethancourt. That's Rick Kranitz, Brewers pitching coach. Ooh, where was that? 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I don't know, looked pretty good.
Kranitz is asking the same thing. Was it low? Must have been.
Just a little.
Fly ball right center. That's going to curl out toward Ryan Braun, and he'll make the grab. Even with the wind, may have to hit it under radar to get it out tonight. It's a pitcher's wind in game one. One down. Freddie Freeman's 0 for 2. He struck out and he's flat out to left.
Not that far behind Adrian Gonzalez for the most extra base hits, though, by a left-handed hitter. You consider Gonzalez and Harper especially have a bunch of homers.
Sharply hit. Lind, a nice play, and he will flip to the pitcher with the bag, and that's out number 2. Well, we'll find out if the ball really is flying at Dodger Stadium as much as everybody says it is. That's our next stop. Dodgers are clubbing the baseball at home, but having very little luck on the road. Again, they lost to the Giants again today, 4-0 in San Francisco. The Dodgers are 17-5 at home, 7-11 on the road. Here's Markakis. And that's a little low. Nick had the first opposing hit with a runner in scoring position this year against Matt Garza in that first inning. It turned into his 11th run batted in.
Yeah, that 2-out runner in scoring position is kind of hard to believe off of Garza, who gave up 10 runs his last time out.
Right there for a strike. It's 2-1. Arizona won again today. They beat the Marlins 7-6. Dan Jennings still without a win as the new Miami skipper.
Yeah, they may fire Dan and hire the farm director.
Marlins have to be one of the most disappointing teams in baseball this year, with a team that many thought would contend for the division title this year. Still might. Got a lot of work to do. Ground ball to second. Markakis is out. So are the Braves. And we head to the 7th. Still a 1-1 game, and Ryan Braun will lead off. Work of Garza and Tehran are Zaxby's indescribably good play.
Both guys really rebounding nicely from some previous starts. For Garza, his last one against the Mets, and for Julio, his last 2 starts where he'd given up 19 hits in 10 2/3 innings over those 2 starts. Both guys more back on their game tonight.
So Teheran ready to go for Atlanta in the 7th with the 3, 4, 5 batters up for the Brewers. Julio with 8 strikeouts. That's a season high. His major league strikeout high is 11. He did that last July against the Marlins. He's thrown just 75 pitches. He's also trying to do something tonight he hasn't done, as that pitch is hit by Braun to left. That's going to be out number 1. And for the first time this year, Julio Teheran has pitched more than 6 innings in a big league game. He's at 6 1/3. There's the first out.
That's a good sign. Maybe it just took the Brewers to get the best out of him. He's pitched so well against them and had that complete game shutout against them just a year and 1 day ago here. Roger's got to be pleased with what he's seen.
Adam Lind to 1 for 2 tonight. Single in the 4th. Haven't really had a chance to talk at all tonight about the job Williams Perez did last night. It's his birthday today, but his first big league start, extremely impressive.
Very solid.
This one's popped up. Bethancourt tosses away the mask and puts the squeeze on that and foul ground for out number 2. Yeah, Perez, 5 innings of 6 hit 1 run ball. He struck out 7 men.
You know what? We were looking and talking about his rise to the big leagues. There were 3 or 4 seasons, I think it was 3, early in his career as a professional, where he didn't start the season in April. He was left behind, I'll say, in extended spring training and then assigned to either the Gulf Coast League or Danville. The Gulf Coast League or Danville. So anybody that can stick with it like that in those extended spring trainings where you're just having inter squad games basically for the first 3 months of the season, boy, that's some perseverance and good for him.
1-0 to Ramirez, who pokes that one foul and out of play. And with the ascension of Williams Perez into this Braves starting rotation, it's worth noting last night Braves rotation's average age is 23.6 years old. And that includes Fultonevich and Wood and Miller and Teheran and Williams Perez.
Gotta like that.
And there's more where that came from. More pitching on the way. Outside, 2 balls and a strike.
There's something else about tonight's start too for Julio, and that is it's not a chilly night, but it's one of those nights that he's typically had trouble gripping the baseball with wind and a cooler night. He's talked about how the ball feels slick. We haven't seen any signs of that tonight.
Understand the care with which he's pitching Aramis Ramirez with that 377 lifetime average against Atlanta. And this one hit high in the air toward Markakis in right. And Nick is going to make the play. It's time for the 7th inning stretch. Julio Teheran's retired 10 straight. Let's get him a run. It's a 1-1 game. baseball in Atlanta. Can't forget Mr. Baseball. Bob Uecker was a Brave. In 1962 and 1963, Bob Uecker was in Atlanta, and actually that picture's from 1967. He played 46 games, a .250 batting average for Bob Uecker. 4 doubles, 9 walks, 20 strikeouts, and half as many home runs as Henry Aaron. Neat. Against Diomedes Olivo of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Bob Uecker's home run came against that Pittsburgh Pirate hurler. Hank Aaron had 2.
See, nobody knew then which one was going to evolve.
Right.
You know,
they were so young.
Yeah, it was a toss-up.
Ground ball, base hit by Johnny Gomes on the first pitch, and that's how the home 7 starts. Bob Uecker's not with the Brewers on this portion of their road trip. He's back in Milwaukee, and can't wait to catch up with him later this summer. He's just a delightful guy and a proud part of the Braves' history here in Atlanta, and such a wonderful representative for the Brewers and the game of baseball. Terrific guy, and hope he's watching the game tonight. And we'll see you soon, Uke. Best wishes.
Look forward to it.
So the go-ahead run's aboard for Atlanta. Here's Callaspo. He's got a hit to right. I like the way this is setting up now. Whole nest of opportunities for Freddie Gonzalez here.
Fastball down the middle. One of the things Garza's done tonight with his fastball is really located. Not so much with the first 2 pitches of this inning. And their bullpen's going to get busy, and the only problem they have down there is which one to pick.
Yeah, do they have enough chairs?
Boy.
Will Smith is first man up. Here's Simmons. He's 0 for 2. He tries to bunt, pops it up. It's on the ground. Everybody's safe. There's only one play, and it's at second. And there's the first out. Gomes is at third. Callaspo's forced out.
And Garza's walking kind of funny. I don't know if he hurt himself going after that or not. Maybe on the dive. I don't know. But they did get one guy over, so there's a go-ahead run at third.
It's fielder's choice. 5-6 on the put out of Callaspo at second. Gomes the go-ahead run 90 feet away, and Bethancourt becomes the key man in the inning. He's already doubled. Todd Cunningham's grabbed a bat. He's on deck. Downstairs, 1 ball, no strikes. Garza's thrown 4 wild pitches this year. That's also tops on the Brewers team. That was almost number 5. Good stop.
You almost called it. Nice stop here by Centino, who was looking to pancake that ball on the ground. He got his glove turned around just in time.
Bethancourt's got a favorable count. 2 balls, no strikes. Way high, 3-0.
Made a couple of mistakes with his fastball to start this inning, and he was going to try real hard not to make a mistake on that 2-0 pitch, and overthrew it.
Bethancourt was taking all the way. Now all bets are off. 3-1. Up the middle, underneath the glove of the second baseman, and Gomes will score to make it a 2-1 game. And runners at first and third with one out. Herrera couldn't knock it down, and Garza gives up the go-ahead run. It's 2-1.
And that's what Herrera had to do to have any chance to save that run, was to knock it down and maybe start a double play. He got a little leather on it, but he couldn't keep it in the glove.
And now Cunningham will be announced as a pinch hitter, and Craig Counsell is on his way to the mound, where he's going to make what appears to be a double switch for Milwaukee. Matt Garza runs into the Braves and runs into more trouble. He's winless against Atlanta in 5 career starts. Julio Teheran gets a hug and a go-ahead run. 2-1's your score. Braves continue to hit here in the home 7th.
And Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram.
The Braves have taken a 7th inning lead with 3 singles. An RBI hit from Christian Bethancourt makes it a 2-1 game, and it chases starter Matt Garza. So a couple of changes for Craig Counsell. First, it's Will Smith, left-handed pitcher.
He's been pretty much their most dependable guy down there, especially left-handed. You can see good numbers in 18 outings, 18 strikeouts, and 12 2/3.
And the other changes for Milwaukee come on the infield. Herrera moves from second to third, and Hector Gomez will play second base. Remember, on the double switch, Gomez will come in and hit 8th. That's where Matt Garza was batting. So in the 8th inning, it'll be Herrera, Centino, Gomez, Sardinas. And now it'll be Pedro Siriaco for Todd Cunningham.
Cunningham a switch hitter, but he's electing to go with Siriaco, who is strictly a right-handed hitter.
Smith is from Braves country. In fact, he was born in Noonan, lives in Noonan, Georgia. He's got a lot of friends and family here tonight. Originally an Angel, went to Kansas City in a trade for Alberto Callaspo. Swing and a miss by Siriaco. And then Milwaukee acquired Smith from Kansas City for Nori Aoki. That was before last season. 78 games for Smith last year, a .370 earned run average, more strikeouts than innings pitched. averaged 1.5 base runners per inning last year. 0-1 for Siriaco.
Boy, a couple of hard biting back foot sliders. More like a curveball, but a hard one.
He had 30 holds last year and didn't give up an earned run in May last season.
Coming in again.
And did he hit him? He did hit him on an 0-2 pitch. Smith hits Siriaco and loads him up.
Trying to make a pitch to set up the next breaking ball, and instead nailed him. A one hopper.
Matt Garza, all he can do is sit and watch and hope. He's down a run. Braves in business. Bases loaded for Jace Peterson. Couldn't stop his swing. Jay's hitting .231 this year against lefties. And now Freddie Gonzalez has spotted something. And the 4 umpires will gather on the infield. Oh, does he see something on Smith's right hand?
Yeah, his right arm.
Jim Joyce is going to check the right arm.
He's gone.
Yep. Will Smith, with a foreign substance on his glove arm, is ejected from the game. And he's glaring over at the Braves dugout. I don't know what he's mad at. He's the guy that had the foreign substance. And now Craig Counsell is out to ask why Will Smith was ejected.
Well, it was pretty clear that he had something there. I mean, it was reflecting in the light. It was shiny. Whoever picked it up in the Braves dugout, good for them.
As we know, throughout the history of baseball, pitchers have used substances to help with their grip. But when it's that obvious, you can't let that slide.
And it's tacky. That's why Jim Joyce felt it. It may have been something similar to what the hitters use on their bats. That
rosin stick or
that rosin
tar stick.
Yeah. Something akin to that. And Will Smith can be mad if he wants. He's got to know better than that. So Kotz will, I think, get the call.
Remember last year it was Michael Pineda of the Yankees who had it on his neck, and the Boston Red Sox saw that and went to the umpires.
And I don't know if that was Jim Joyce or not, but he took a baseball in, getting a little grief from the Brewers dugout as he was walking in with the baseball, and probably going to hold on to that as some evidence.
So Kotz and Blazek were the pitchers warming up for Milwaukee. Smith ejected with what appeared to be pine tar on his right forearm. And the Braves will face a new reliever for Milwaukee in what's turned out to be a very wild home 7th inning. With an 0-2 pitch on the foot. And then Freddie Gonzalez and the Braves dugout bench saw something on his glove arm, motioned to the umpires to go check, and very clearly you could see there was something that shouldn't have been there.
You should see it, the shiny material on his right arm. These are some warm-up pitches that he took.
And so the umpires finally restore order here. They took the baseball, I'm sure, to the umpire's dressing room. And that will be sent to Major League Baseball. And Will Smith, I'm sure, will face some sort of disciplinary action for that foreign substance in tonight's game. And so Neil Kotz is going to come on and pitch with the bases loaded and 1 out. So there's Neil Kotz. He's the third pitcher of the inning for Milwaukee. Kotz has been hit hard. This is his 17th outing. He's got a 6.19 ERA, 11 runs, 17 hits in 16 innings of work, and an astounding 6 home runs allowed in those 16 innings.
What took him so long to come out of the bullpen? I mean, he wasn't warming up down there. I thought, well, maybe he's stalling because he can get some more pitches. Well, he can get as many as he needs here after the ejection, but it took him a good 5 minutes to come in out of the bullpen after they signaled for him.
Maybe he had to wipe his arm.
Maybe.
What's so surprising about the reaction of Will Smith? I don't know why he's mad at the Braves.
No,
I mean, as I said, throughout the history of this game, pitchers have used substances to try to improve their grip. Some legal, some not. There are many methods that they have used. Clear pine tar comes to mind. And as long as it is not blatant, just about everybody chooses to look the other way. But when it's that obvious and it's caked on your forearm and it looks like war paint, there's absolutely nothing that Will Smith has to be angry about except himself for not having that covered up on a cold night.
Kind of rolled his arm over, but Jim Joyce, crew chief, see ya. That was pretty blatant.
So it's an eventful homecoming for the man from Noonan. Will Smith might be next door neighbors to Steve Holman. Who knows? I know Steve's watching the game tonight. And hopefully better luck for the Hawks in game 2 of their series. And so Jace Peterson is the man in the batter's box. Kotz will assume an 0-1 count. And Jace on Saturday had a memorable day down in Miami.
That crack of the bat caused Matt Latos' head to drop because he knew where it was going.
As I said, 6 home runs allowed by Neil Kotz in 16 relief innings. That's a lot. Chance to break the game open for Atlanta. No balls and a strike. And up and away. Even count. So in what's been a wild season for Milwaukee, I don't know if they've had anybody kicked out for pine tar yet. They can add that to their list of follies in the first 42 games. Swing and a miss. Little pop into shallow left center field. Ball drops. That ball looked to be in the glove of Gomez. He just couldn't get there in time, and Peterson delivers a big hit. It's a 3-1 game.
And that's a ball he normally gets to. A pitch that was off the plate, but it was up, and that allowed Jace to reach it. He kind of changed directions right at the last second, almost like he had misread it, and could be that the wind knocked it down a little bit too, Chip. It caused him to have to come in a little bit. but one we're accustomed to seeing him catch.
So the Brewers will go to a fourth pitcher in the seventh inning. Cox departs. Atlanta leads by 2.
Dodge.
What a wild night at Turner Field. A crazy seventh inning. Braves have taken a 3-1 lead. The Brewers are on their fourth pitcher of the inning. It started with Matt Garza, who allowed 3 hits. Will Smith came on, hit a batter, got thrown out for having a foreign substance on his pitching, or on his glove hand, I should say. Neil Kotz gives up a hit to that man, Jace Peterson. And now Michael Blazek, a former Cardinal, is on for his 17th outing.
And he's got good numbers with a 1.42 ERA. Something similar to those of Smith. 19 innings. He's issued a lot of walks, but right at a strikeout per inning pitched and a real low batting average against.
All 3 runs are charged to Matt Garza to this point. Bethancourt, his responsibility as well. He stands at third base. Maben with the bases full and 1 out. And that's high, ball 1. Here's a cool number for you. Cameron Maben is batting with the bases loaded for the 6th time this year for the Braves. It's a little surprising. He's got 3 hits.
He's done a good job of not getting greedy in this situation. He's had several base hits, as I recall, the other way. Went for it there, though. Can't blame him. 2-0.
Two balls at a strike. Two runs on 4 hits for the Braves in the inning. The Brewers are on their 4th pitcher. They've got 1 out. And not close. And nowhere to put Maben. 3-1 now.
You've got one to play with. If you want to guess or look for a spot, location, do it.
That'll make you mad. 3-1 pitch and it's fouled off. Now it's a full count. Up the middle, a base hit for Maben. One run scores. Here comes Siriaco to the plate. He'll slide in safely. And Maben continues to sizzle with the bases loaded.
And again, he didn't overswing. 2-0 count. Yeah, he went for it. But 3-2, nice controlled short stroke right back through the middle. What's that, 4 for 7? Great work.
And for Maben, a 6-game hitting streak and 12 RBIs this month. And it's a 5-1 game for Freddie Freeman. And that's upstairs. Ball 1.
One of those runs charged to Garza, the other to Will Smith.
Garza allows 4 in his 6 1/3 innings. And Freeman broke his bat and bloops that one into shallow right, and that's going to get down. Bo Porter's going to green light Peterson. Throw to the plate. Late. Runner to third. It's 6-1.
Thing of beauty. Freddie needed that. He was 5 for his last 32 and needed a bloop to drop in for a change. Breaking ball coming into him, broke his bat, and just out of the reach of Gomez, who had just come into the ball game, and the double switch.
So a big lead for Julio Teheran now. And Nick Markakis, the 9th man to hit.
Still only 1 out.
6 Atlanta hits in the inning. Garza had Atlanta handcuffed on 2 hits through 6. It all came apart in the 7th. Ricochets off the catcher. It's 0-2. Julio Teheran finished, retiring the last 10 Brewers he faced tonight. 8 strikeouts for him, a season high. First time he's pitched beyond the 6th inning. And he's in line for win number 4. 0-2 count. Markakis down the left field line. Fair ball. 1 run scores. Here comes Freeman. He'll be stopped at third. Markakis with a double on an 0-2 count.
His second RBI of the night. Backdoor breaking ball. No siree. Went down there and got it, sliced it, kept it fair. He's got 12 RBIs. Freddie's RBI in front of him was his 20th. Still only 1 out.
We won't know till after the game, but we'll ask the Brewers folks. I would imagine this inning is a microcosm of the first 2 months of the season for them. Check swing, strike for Gomes. 0-1.
3 straight hits given up by Blazek.
Kniff is up in the Braves pen. Looks like he'll be the man pitching the 8th. 7-1 Braves lead. Bouncer towards second. Gomez has it. Bad throw. He airmailed it. Freeman's going to come home. This is unbelievable. 36th Brewer error this year. We told you they have the worst defense in the league. And that was a hand grenade to first base.
I don't know if Craig Counsell's on the phone. If he is, it's not to the bullpen. It's back to Milwaukee about getting a plane ride home. And what have I done? That was ugly.
No RBI, obviously, on the E4. Markakis stopped at third. Gomes at first. And here's Callaspo. He bats for a second time in the inning. He had the second of 2 consecutive hits against Garza. He jumps on the first and skies it towards shallow center. Here comes Cargo. He's under it. He's got it. And there'll be no advance. So 2 men are out. Andrelton Simmons is the batter. Andrelton bunted into a fielder's choice earlier in the inning. And then scored the 3rd run of the night. He's the 12th man to hit in the inning. Ground ball to second. Gomez threw it hard that time, and that retires the side. An inning for the ages in Atlanta. The Braves see 4 Brewer pitchers, and they score 7 in the 7th. Crew on Delta Airlines will be headed to the West Coast after our game Sunday afternoon against these Milwaukee Brewers. Best care in the air from our friends at Delta Airlines, proud sponsors of the Atlanta Braves. That was some kind of a wild inning, huh?
Yeah.
And Brandon Kniff is on for his 16th game. He's turned into a very reliable member of this Braves bullpen as we check in with Andre Aldridge.
All right, thanks a lot, Chip. I tell you what, after Brandon's work last night, goes an inning and a third, doesn't allow any hits, no runs, and 28 right-handed batters he's seen so far this season. None of them have gotten a base hit. And not too bad against the lefties either. 2 for 11 left-handers against him. I asked him about this success. He just said, look, I'm blessed. I have an awful lot of confidence, and I have an outstanding defense beside me. But the bullpen continues to feed off of everybody out there, Chip, and the Braves, second in the major leagues as far as allowing inherited runners to score at 13.8%.
Yeah, they're doing an excellent job in that regard, Andre, and I think it's important to remember in the first 30 games of the year, as you see Pedro Ciriaco in at third base for Atlanta. First 30 games, the Braves had 6 relievers make their debuts for this ball club. As Herrera flies out to Gomes in left, there's out number 1. But you've got Kniff, who's been outstanding against right-handers. You've got 2 lefties down there in Stoltz and Avalon, veteran guys. They just signed Nick Massett. And so, Joe, this Braves bullpen, which at times has suffered through the youthful inexperience that comes with first-year players, it's now older, deeper, wiser, and right now pitching better.
They are pitching better, Chip, and there's some guys settling into some roles, and with that confidence for Kniff, I mean, he's got good stuff, and I thought he was pitching really good baseball when he first made the club. He was just getting used a lot, and I think ran out of gas. They sent him back to Gwinnett just to kind of regroup. He didn't pitch that well down there. Gave up some runs in just a few innings, but it was mostly just for 10 days to go rest a little.
Yes, he was the toy that Mom and Dad said, we're putting it on the shelf. You can't use it.
Right.
For a while. Now he's back. He hasn't allowed a hit to a right-hand hitter this year. Bouncing ball, foul at first. It's 1-2.
Yeah, and according to the Braves notes, the 28 at-bats by right-handers is the longest such streak to start their career, dating back to Bob McClure, then with Kansas City back in 1975.
Impressive stuff. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And the Brewers 8th. Wouldn't you agree too, Joe, that the effectiveness of a bullpen is directly tied to the success of your starting pitching?
Needless to say, if you've only got to cover a couple of innings a night, what a big bonus that is. Great job by Julio tonight.
In his 9th start, got past the 6th inning for the first time this year. And in the early days and weeks of the season, that was also a problem. It was tough for the Braves starters to get to 6, much less through it. And so inexperienced guys were pitching in high leverage situations. That's not the case now with a 7-run lead and 6 outs to get. And Kniff lost his man. So a 1-out walk. And here's Gomez, Hector Gomez. So Hector Gomez and Carlos Gomez in the lineup for the Brewers. Hector's the infielder. He was acquired on a waiver claim from Colorado back in 2012. He's 27, 6'2", 194. Good fastball at 94, and he didn't get it.
He throws hard. He's been spotting his fastball pretty well, and he's got a hard slider.
That's out of play. It'll stay 0-2. Braves and Brewers meet again tomorrow night. Remember, first pitch at 7:35. It's Friday night fireworks night at the ballpark. Alex Wood and Willie Peralta will be the starting pitchers. We'll have Braves Live for you beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. No one outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One-two pitch. Way high.
It's far enough. No reason to go to 3-2. 7-run lead. Go after him.
Strike 3 at the knees. Perfect pitch. And there's the second out. Well, we had fun here last night. It was Javi Lopez bobblehead night. June 9th, it'll be our second bobblehead night at the ballpark. It's David Justice bobblehead day. The San Diego Padres will be in town. You get a chance to see Justin Upton. Hope we won't get to see Craig Kimbrell, because that would mean the Padres are leading. First 20,000 fans through the gates get a bobblehead featuring David Justice on Tuesday night. Get your tickets today online at braves.com/tickets. Padres haven't put it together yet out west. San Diego 20-21, 5 games out of first, and losing to the Cubs tonight in the early innings at Petco.
Lost Will Myers to the DL too.
Sardinas man aboard and 2 out. Would he qualify in the Mike Trout, Steve Trout, Kevin Bass?
Pretty close,
right?
Yep, you bet. Sardinas.
Two balls and a strike, and popped out of play. It's 2-2. Only 22 years old is Luis Sardinas, fired from Texas. Struck him out at 94. Nothing happening in the Milwaukee 8th. All Braves late 8-1 in game 1. I didn't know there was a National Jersey Day. Did you?
I did not.
Me neither. Huh. Well, for a limited time, buy a new majestic cool base jersey from the Braves Clubhouse store, and you get a free New Era mini cap set while supplies last. For more details, stop by the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center or call 404-523-5854.
I think there's one of those every year in Trenton.
Yes, because exactly.
Yeah.
Well, for a club that doesn't hit a lot of home runs, the Braves have had their share of big innings this year.
including that big first inning at Miami in the second game of the season off Matt Latos. 2 in April, 3 so far here in May, and another 7-run inning tonight in the 7th. Brandon Knipp, by the way, outstanding again. Did walk a batter, but 2 strikeouts and just went Powder River to finish him off.
There is action in the Braves bullpen, so it'll be 1 and done for Brandon, it would appear, as the Braves hit the home 8th. Bethancourt in the pitcher spot. Out of play. Actually, it's Bethancourt and then Siriaco, I beg your pardon, and Jace Peterson. Rough year, rough night for the Brewers. 2-2. Just joining us, it was a terrific pitcher's duel with the first 6 innings. Julio Teheran and Matt Garza were matching strike for strike. Braves got a first inning run on a 2-out RBI hit from Nick Markakis, the first such 2-out hit allowed by Matt Garza this year with a runner in scoring position. Sharply hit, and a fair ball by Bethancourt down the left field line. And Christian's on his way to second. He's got a 2 double game and 3 total hits.
Remember that pitch I was talking about earlier, Chip? I think this was a fastball. Look how he got his hands inside the ball and kept it fair. That is something Jace Peterson will have to work on to keep pitchers from working him in there. Well done by Bethancourt.
So his 3-hit night ties his career high. Braves have 10 hits in total. And here's Siriaco. His was the most important at bat of the game as far as the drama was concerned. Remember, he was behind in the count 0-2 with Will Smith on in relief, and Siriaco got hit in the foot. And as Siriaco made his way down the first base line, Smith was walking around the mound. Somebody in the Braves dugout saw something on Will Smith's right arm. Jace Peterson was in the batter's box at the time. Time was called. Freddie Gonzalez went to the home plate umpire. They met on the mound. After conferring on the infield, checked the right arm of Will Smith, and there was a foreign substance of some sort. Jim Joyce touched that substance on Smith's right arm and immediately ejected him. And the kid from Noonan, Georgia, was red hot. I mean, he was screaming at Freddie Gonzalez in the Braves dugout as he made his way to the Brewers dugout.
I don't know why. I mean, I understand why, of course. He's upset, but you can't do that. He knows better than that.
Neil Kotz followed, gave up a hit. And the hit parade was on. 7 runs across for the Braves in the 7th inning. 8-1 game. Siriaco is retired. Pegged first in time. There's the first out. And here's Jace Peterson.
Ian Kinsler's had a tough go of it too. This is a guy a couple of years ago we saw him. We thought he was dynamite. Throws hard, good arm. But so far for him, 4 games, 4 innings, 7 hits, 3 walks in 4 innings.
So Brandon Kinsler misses to Jace Peterson low. 1 ball, no strikes.
Did I say Ian?
Yeah, I know what you meant though, Brandon. He's an interesting story. You know, there's more than one way to get to the big leagues. Some guys very rarely come straight out of high school or straight out of college. Others work their way very slowly, methodically through a team's minor league system. Some guys get drafted and get here very quickly or sign as free agents. Kinsler had his contract purchased from the St. Paul Saints of the independent leagues in 2009.
Well, Kenneth followed a similar path. He was signed out of an independent league by the Braves and sent to Lynchburg.
Ball, 1 strike. Jace didn't get it. It's 1-2. Kinsler made 64 relief appearances. Would have been more, except he had a strained rotator cuff in the early days of the year last year. Had 3 wins last year. And is in the 8-1 Braves game tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that pops away. No advance. It's 2-2. Colorado cooled off the Phillies today. That's a 7-3 final at Coors Field. Phillies have been playing a lot better. Their pitching's been outstanding over the last week. Staff ERA under 2 runs a game.
The Arizona club's funny. I mean, they just got swept in a 4-game series before going to Miami
by the Phillies.
Yeah, and go down to Miami and sweep the Marlins in 4.
Little tapper. It's still 2-2. Washington's taken over the division lead. They're a game ahead of the Mets. Washington's won 5 in a row and 8 of 10. Cardinals lead the Cubs in the National League Central by 4.5. Brewers in last place, 12.5 out. The Dodgers now only a game and a half in front of the Giants, who I don't believe have lost since Hunter Pence has come back. Coincidence? Perhaps not.
Hunter had a big day today. I think he drove in a couple of runs.
And Tim Lincecum, by the way, I think his ERA is under 3 for the Giants. He's pitching like the Tim Lincecum of old. Shut out the Dodgers and beat Clayton Kershaw 4-0 again. Whenever Bumgarner and Kershaw match up, and it's happened 3 times this year, it's Madison Bumgarner who usually wins. He's now won 3 of the last 4 decisions against Clayton Kershaw, and he hit a home run against him today. First time Kershaw has given up a home run to an opposing pitcher. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And Peterson walks with 1 out. He's on base for a second time out of the leadoff spot tonight. And 2 are on in the Braves' 8th inning. Time for our AT&T Uverse trivia question. One of the only 3 players in baseball history to have played for the Milwaukee Braves and the Milwaukee Brewers. No, Henry Aaron's one of them.
I'm going to say Felipe Alou might be one.
Okay.
And I don't have a third. Johnny Logan.
Why not? Let's see if Johnny Logan's on the list. Aaron Alou and Phil Roof.
Partial credit.
Yep. 67%, just like most of my report cards.
Nothing wrong with that.
I feel like Tommy Callahan. I passed. Cameron Maben, the batter. Maben's had a good night. 2 RBIs, 2 runs, and a chopper bounced to short. Nice pick and a nice turn, but not in time at first. Peterson went in hard at second base. Gomez hung in there and very nearly turned the double play. That was impressive work, not only on the turn, but to get it started with a base runner shielding the shortstop.
Good work on everybody's part. Hard enough slide by Jace to disrupt that throw too. A little air conditioning for his pants too.
Fouled off the catcher's glove by Freddie. A strike. Braves first baseman got it on the fun in the 7th inning. He had an RBI hit and scored a run too. In fact, he scored the last run for the Braves tonight. So he's up to 20 runs batted in. We're in game number 40. We're at the quarter pole in 2015. And the Braves have a chance to be 20-20 after 40 games. 1-2 strikes. Eight runs, 10 hits for the Braves. 1 run, 2 hits for Milwaukee. That one pops away, and Bethancourt's going to score easily. That makes it 9-1. Maben up to second base on a wild pitch. Christian Bethancourt's had himself a good night, not just offensively, but he handled Tehran very well too.
Centino's had a good night too. He's blocked a lot of pitches. He has saved on a couple of occasions in the 7th inning. Saved a run with the ball in the dirt. That one he just couldn't corral. He'd also taken a foul ball off the arm just before that.
Alex Wood saying, hey, save a few tomorrow. 8-run lead now. Payoff pitch. Grounded toward first. That's foul past Lind. And we'll do it again. Wood and Peralta Friday night. Saturday afternoon. Shelby Miller and Mike Fiers. If you haven't made plans Saturday, come on out. Afternoon game. Shelby Miller coming off that masterful performance down in Miami. We wrap things up Sunday with Mike Foltynewicz. We're gone for a long road trip. Freeman strokes one into left center field, and that'll score Maben easily. It's 10-1 Atlanta. A 2 RBI game for Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, and a multi-hit game too that started with that bloop back in the 7th inning. Maybe that bloop will get him going again. High fastball up and away. Served it that way. Nice piece of hitting. .21 RBIs.
And a strike for Nick Markakis, approaching 10 o'clock in Atlanta. 7 in the 7th, 2 more for good measure in the 8th. There's the next 2 starters for the Braves, Wood and Miller. 0-2. Jam Markakis, and he's spoiling some tough pitches. And Kinsler's thrown 28 of them here in the 8th.
Yeah, his struggles continue, which is a shame because I thought this guy was dynamite a couple of years ago. He had a great fastball.
Won't get it easier for Milwaukee after this series. They'll go home and play the Giants.
Jerry Narron on the right, Craig Counsell on the left. Narron, the bench coach and former manager himself.
Next, if you take the schedule out even further for Milwaukee, you got the Giants, the Diamondbacks, Cardinals, the surprising Twins, Pittsburgh, and then 4 with Washington, 2 with Kansas City. And then 2 more on the road with the Royals and their pitching staff.
Rough stretch.
That's to mid-June. At the moment, they're 15 and 26 for the year. 2 balls, 2 strikes. This is what I love about Nick Markakis. This game is all but won for Atlanta. You don't see Nick Markakis ever giving it bat away, do you?
No, but that's what I was talking about is when he drove in that first run. He'll go up there and rip that first pitch for an RBI, but without a guy in scoring position. He's just up there looking for a good pitch and spoiling some good pitchers' pitches.
This one's bounced to first. Pitcher late to the bag. Close play and in time. Kinsler almost messed up. 10-1 going to the ninth.
Anywhere Delta flies in the continental United States. 2-night hotel accommodations and $250 spending cash. Enter on your mobile devices or computer at foxsports.com/south/Delta. Good luck.
Well, a game like this, you think it was a blowout from the opening bell. That wasn't the case, and it might have been a very different ball game had Cameron Maybin not come up big defensively in the fourth inning.
Deep fly ball by Braun, got a run in, but look at this throw right on the money. Parra called out at second. The Brewers appealed on review. He was still called out. That helped prevent a big inning.
That was our Toyota key play of the game, and a big one, even though Braun tied it with a sac fly. Adam Lynn followed with a base hit. Had that runner been safe at second and that hit occurred, Milwaukee could have taken a 2-1 lead. And the way Garza was pitching, might have been a rough and frustrating offensive night for Atlanta, but that wasn't the case. So the top of the order greets Trevor Cahill in the ninth. It's Carlos Gomez. And a quick strike. His bullpen last night was terrific. 4 scoreless innings against the Tampa Bay Rays. Cahill pitched the 6th and 7th innings in game 1 against Tampa Bay and threw 2 perfect frames.
Yeah, he looked really sharp with a strikeout. Tom Glavine noticed that maybe he changed his arm angle a little bit, dropped it down some.
.92 and fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Gomez. He walked in the 4th and is the man that scored on Braun's sacrifice fly. Only Milwaukee tallied tonight. Let's not forget they have just 2 hits. Teheran was brilliant in his best start of the year.
Yeah, arguably without his best fastball.
Full count. Little chopper to first. Freeman's got it. Easy out. 1 down in the ninth.
You know, sometimes you got to be around the game a long time to know all the ins and outs. Sometimes it might take 50 years to be around the game to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
Well, our pal Bill Acree chimed in on the trivia game.
Yeah.
Dave May, who was traded for Henry Aaron, from Milwaukee to the Atlanta Braves. There were 4.
So
did that say name 3?
It did say name 3. So,
or who were the 3?
Yeah, we get a W. That's all.
Way to go, Bill.
Thanks,
Bill.
Bill.
Gets one too. I knew those 50 years would come in handy.
I'm just surprised he's still awake. At 10 o'clock, bouncing ball to second. Jace Peterson's got it. Throw to first in time. And there's out number 2. We talk all the time about the great job Matt Coney does with Delta and getting us from city to city. Let's not forget Bill Acree, in my opinion, represents everything that the Braves organization is, was, and I hope will be. Hope he's considered someday for the Braves Hall of Fame. And when you think of all that he has done, getting the Braves players to and from city to city for all these years, and handling the clubhouse and all the different players, and doing it in such a first-class way, we're really privileged to have him around. And thrilled for him and Cindy that he gets to step away from the hectic pace in his 50th year with the ball club. Ground ball to first. That'll be a fitting end as Braun rolls out, and the Braves clobber Milwaukee in a crazy game. 10-1 is the final score. A 7-run 7th, which featured 4 Milwaukee pitchers, an ejection for an illegal substance, and a big blowout inning. Braves are back at 500, 20-20 on the year in game number 40. Cameron Maybin had a big part in this Atlanta victory. The subject of our Yellowwood Bringing the Lumber is the big Atlanta 7th. The Braves wallop Milwaukee in meeting number 1 of the year.
Sent 12 men to the plate, and it started with Johnny Gomes in a tie game 1-1. Gomes and Callascos hit the first pitch they saw. They were at first and third after a bunt that got 1 runner moved up. Base hit by Siriaco got 1 in. That ball looked like it should have been caught. Wasn't. That got a run in. Maybin with the bases loaded. He's now 4 for 7 with the bases loaded this year. He plated a couple. Freddie Freeman walloped this one. Got it out there far enough to get a run in. Markakis down the line. That'll get a run in. And then a little help from the Brewers as Gomez launched that one over the head of Lynn. So Freddie scored. That was fun.
You need a breather. You're exhausted.
Oh, that was great.
It was great. Fun win. 10-1 the final. Back with more in a minute.